they looked lost on this map. And that's the scariest thing when you look at someone like HellRaisers, who they have never played a competitive game of this map. And their other permaban was Nuke, which is another map that I know Taz and his teams have always liked to play. So it's a horrible position. We're already seeing that A-site attempt going in early on, as Taz at least is going in that direction, but the rest of the team, not so much.
Thing is, we've been saying over the course of today, even off air, that if you're one of like the team that's really worried about the matchup you're going up against, Vertigo might be a good map to actually learn, because either the team, you know, bans it away and then they actually are forced to use one of their bans, or you get the opportunity to play it and potentially catch them off guard. We can see a little bit of an execute coming over towards B, it seems, though. As you can see, the smoke's coming through. Oscar already forced back, immediately back in towards the middle. 3 players actually going to be taking control on the T side, so they have the ability to rotate back in towards B if they want. And Oscar's trying to rattle off a couple of shots here through the smoke to connect, but it seems like Low was already able to pick up the first frag.
Yeah, they're going to go jumping over the top and get in towards that B site, but it is not going so well. The CT side looking to try and shut this down. Taz has at least brought it back into a 3 versus 2.
Oh, I'm getting scared. Sorry, whenever I see them on the edge of the map like that, I'm just... butt cheek's going to be clenched, making diamonds out of Cole there.
Well, yeah, I think Cold Zero is the one who fell off it first, so maybe we should just call it Cold. Deha going to be waiting. He's left it onto Taz. Needs to get this kill quickly as there's another man from behind, but Angel will not allow it. It is going to be the first round coming up on the board for HellRaisers. It's an important start to a match that I think could be a difficult one. The only thing I would say, though, is if they made the active choice to ban Nuke, I feel like they must have had some practice on Vertigo, because you would never put this map into the pool if you've never played it. Like, even if you were not a particularly good Nuke team, which it's not a map they want to play, but even still, you would go the evil you know over this.
Exactly. And I'm really keen to get into a discussion point that we've kind of talked about, I think, last night or this morning about Vertigo. I was saying to you that the A site just is really reminiscent of Mirage and how it kind of plays out A site, where you always play for like after plants. It's really easy to get in there with the smokes and to set up a position to plant, but very difficult for the T side to actually defend it once they get the bomb down, since most players are going to be sitting over towards ramp, and Angel actually get caught off guard. Looks like Aristocracy was waiting for that push to come through. Now Isa is in a very polarizing position. A Molotov would push him out of this position and eventually kill him, but at the same time, if there's no Molotov, as Chad was saying earlier on with Elevator, it's really similar to a one-and-done spot.
Yeah, this is a map where, especially in like low economy rounds, you're going to see the T side go for a lot of grenades over weaponry, because there's not that much benefit of having yourself an extra rifle considering how close you are to the bomb site. The only thing I will say is I feel like T's need to have some sort of flanker to deny any sort of like defusal. There are spam spots. There is the ability to just straight up fight. But if the CTs have utility and a retake, they can just Molotov off that ramp, and then you're kind of screwed. It's very difficult to hold on to. Same scenario coming up here. UK going to be left completely blind, and actually the T's now have themselves a man advantage, and Oscar hoping to try and round the corner. Taz has multiple angles to look at, spins away in the wrong direction, and Deha a little bit far away, but this is the flank. This is exactly what I was speaking about just seconds before. They have set this up wonderfully, an easy kill, and now Lowell is screwed, because he has to take the fight in one of the directions. Deha knows it as well, and that's why you were seeing him be so calm. Like, he easily could have fought when Taz was fighting, but if he goes down, they reclaim the ramp, they lose. Instead, it's a bit of a sacrificial lamb just because he knows that that flank is coming.
I was actually kind of surprised to see HellRaisers not invest, as you mentioned, like a lot more utility is investment in terms of that versus weaponry. They didn't really have any smokes to go for the retake. Smoke off ramp, then you have a relatively like easy chance to potentially pull off the defuse, unless they're going to spam through you or through the smoke and are prepared for exactly where it was. And we haven't, at least in the match I saw that you were casting, we didn't really see much elevator control or really much elevator usage out of either team on the CT side, even though it didn't last that long on the CT side for, I think that was Avantgarde. But in the meantime, it seems like Aristocracy are set up for a push towards A. I wonder, is this going to be a route they're going to continue to go until they're stopped?
Well, that is very, well, Taz-esque, I would say, with the old VP lineup, the way it would be like, we're going to keep doing something until you stop us, and if you don't, we will just do it until the end of the game. And even if you beat us once, we'll still do it again just to make sure it wasn't a fluke.
Well, they do have 2 nades here on the side of HellRaisers to potentially punish and do some decent damage. I'm expecting to see some potential op play out of that position. Just saw Lowell in. However, Aristocracy was already able showing that they can smoke that off, but so far, 2 for 1. HellRaisers have a chance to get back into this again. The bomb is in a perfect position to be defended by Aristocracy, especially without any utility use out of HellRaisers to retake this. With that one flashbang to use, I think we're going to see another round on the board here for Aristocracy.
Yeah, I think that's the big problem at the moment for the CT side, is they just don't have the weaponry to really do anything about this. I like the plant spot as well. It's so much more open to the ramp. If you can get it down in that corner, I don't really see much of a retake scenario. And actually, if you know in the game where I watched Avangar, they always planted in that default spot behind the boxes.
Thing is, I think where they just planted as well, there's a legitimate chance to spam through the wood wall if you can get a person in the scaffolding to actually just shoot through it directly to where it was. I think it was pretty much in line of sight, if I'm not mistaken. We'll obviously take some time to look into that when we get back into that situation, if it does happen. But again, HellRaisers, as you know, Sponge mentioned before, choosing CT side when this has been a T-sided map, at least out of the 60-odd games we have had on it. But I'd 100% agree with you. If they're going to ban away Nuke, this is definitely a map that HellRaisers have to be prepared for.
Yeah, I'd say, like, for me, it's a little bit more skewed because the match I casted was a Furia, and it did definitely seem like Avangar were more out of it. But the way they decided to play everything was just have one player on A, everywhere else on the map was more stacked up, and then they just knew what they were doing in the retakes. Now, I don't think that will work so well against a well-prepared team, which I don't think they were up against that day. But at the same time, I could definitely see why they did it. Because if your opponents are only able to fall backwards, they actually don't have many angles to defend you from, because it pretty much is just spamming onto the bomb. And if you can basically isolate them and pick them off, like Furia was so successful in doing, it's actually possible that you could just play a retake scenario on it.
You know, I almost want to see, I know if you guys watched the World video, there's a spot you can do a triple boost on behind the wood over at the A site towards the ramp. I wonder if that's a legitimate strategy to use to retake, because obviously they're going to be holding from ramp, right, once they get the bomb down on T side. If you can pick off one or two people from that position because they're not going to be looking there, then you can have an opportunity to really get yourself back into the site. However, it's not going to work as often as you would hope to. Taz going to continue to watch this elevator, which I still have yet to see be used across the map in a quarter that I've seen so far now.
Yeah, I think it's one of those positions where you expect people to use it a lot, and it's mainly just for that one time that somebody does. But it's not going to happen often because of the exact fact that if everybody's looking for something, then for you to do it, you'd have to be mad.
There's actually a couple of good positions you can play off a middle. It's a good rotate position to get in towards that B side if you need to. Oscar, though, going to be able to challenge out on Area 51. And we just saw the drop come in. Elevator shaft being used. And Oscar, in the meantime, is getting a lot of information here. He's getting a lot of information through sound, a lot of information through sight as well, realizing where they are not going to be. And we are going to see a slight little, I guess, fake come in out of Aristocracy as they rotate back towards the A site. But again, Issa, in this position, is going to have to smoke it out, but that's going to give away his spot. And he's still not clean to run away from this because it's such a large gap between there and safety.
Yeah, Oscar coming in on the flank will go down. Issa tries to peek back out, but I really don't like that sandbag spot.
No, not at all.
I don't think it's something that's viable. Like, I get what he was trying to do, but he either just has to try and stay alive like he was doing initially and then try and deny a plant, or just go basically do what he did, which was really aggressive.
You mind game it. Bear with me here a second, Tom.
What you wait
He's
for
played there
Molotov and throw a
twice.
smoke from distance.
Yes. You smoke it out as if there's a teammate there, and they're going to continue to invest utility or look in that direction. Mind games.
It only works if there's already a smoke so they can't see your smoke, though.
No, so someone else throws it to, like, protect him. Like, quote-unquote, protect him. So you're losing a smoke, but you're feigning that there's someone's actually going to be there, but you want to let him keep his smoke. I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of getting in my own head here. But, again, such a new map. There's a lot of possibilities to be used, a lot of possibilities to come into light over these next few weeks and months. And Aristocracy going to be off to a fantastic lead at 4-1.
Yeah, and I think from what we've seen so far, HellRaisers don't really have set up on that A site. Like, you can see what they're attempting, but it basically comes down to, can Issa just get a double kill in a position that's they're expecting? Like, it's basically he's being watched by all eyes when they come around that corner, because there's nowhere else to check, especially if they do what they did where it was Miniz just hard peeks into the only other angles that they can't see. So it's like, Angel's then dead. There is no one else. Okay, Oscar manages to come in on a flank and get one kill, but again, everything they're doing is so expected that for a team that's clearly willing to play this, I think they're 1-for-1 on victories. Like they've only played domestic matches versus other Polish teams. Like they beat AGO. It's one of those games where you're sort of going, okay, they're not going to fall for that. They're not going to give up those positions. They're not going to be like just dying to Issa, but at least the majority of the time. So I think there needs to already be a bit of a change coming in from the CT side.
And we were kind of talking about how you could potentially play that ace side as well, right? We were talking about how maybe just have one person play really far back, let them go for their retake, and just play for the full retake with like the 2 players towards B potentially flanking from behind, or the 2 players in middle potentially dropping down an elevator to do some work. Either way, right now, HellRaisers are struggling here. He's still going to be boosted up over towards the staircase at B. I don't think he's actually going to be spotted here. However, I don't know if he's going to have the opportunity to get much more than 1 here with the 5-7.
Yeah, I could definitely see that A site becoming either like A site cash or like A site mirage. Like where if you get a pick, you just retake it. Like like you have the man advantage, you fall away and you give it up. Like a retake ace strategy on cash is almost common. Like loads of teams do that, especially in pistol rounds.
Yeah, especially pistols.
So I think it will just come out to teams more feeling out the map and getting used to things, but I definitely think that, at least from what I've seen so far, actually not fighting on the ramp is a better way to do it until you do find a way to take it, or maybe the timing is changed like Chad suggested, to give them more of a chance. Because otherwise, at the moment, you're just fighting a losing battle.
Now we see even Deha get aggressive here. I mean, again, HellRaisers don't have much money to spend, don't have much invest into this round, just a deal of 5-7. I still want to see the op picked up by HellRaisers, and I know it's not necessarily something that is gonna save you in the round, especially when we see an Aristocracy already prepared by smoking off that position you can hold from in towards middle looking in. Yeah, he's gone. He's out of here. But I feel like that's going to work like once or twice, and then they're going to smoke it off, and then the op just becomes a little bit useless, especially when you have such close quarter combat. I think the term used when you were casting with Risk was just basically used as a shock.
Yeah. No, I think especially on a team like HellRaisers, like you have 2 players who can prominently AWP. Like not even just like to a decent degree. Like I would say Nuke was the primary AWPer in Imperial when he was there and was very, very good. He did get replaced by Otto in the end, who actually went on to Valiance, but let's move away from that. And then you got Oscar, who at least when he, or last year it is, when he was in more of a peak, he is a fantastic AWPer. Like there's no argument there. They're actually going to go for a double AWP. Now this almost, like I'm hoping this is like something they planned rather than when you get into almost pug-style Counter-Strike where you're like, okay, I don't know how to win this, let's just double off setup and hope that we can outpick them.
Well, it didn't work out for Oscar here off the bat. The Molotov took a big chunk of HP away from him. Aristocracy, I mean, considering it's a very small map, have been taking their time for quite a few rounds here, but again, if it's not broken, why change things up? Again, the double op, so we have Oscar towards Shaft in middle, and the other one is over towards the A site holding. So he's holding for where we saw low earlier on. He's holding for this angle, looking for them to push up. Again, we've seen Aristocracy have smokes to his position. I think he's actually going to be smoked out anyways, so he's not really going to have an opportunity to really do too much with it if they go for that route. Or Deha will hit the shot.
That's another thing as well. If you know where these angles are, that can happen. Like, obviously, you sort of expect UK to have the advantage in that scenario, but I think it was clear that Deha knew what he was doing, knew where to pre-fire.
I think something Warl said, if you watch this video, was just, it kind of rings true, is that there's a lot of natural angles. You can just come into the map and just be like, yeah, that's an angle that they're going to be coming from. It's, you know, generally okay to hit. But that also means there's no room for HellRaisers to be to improvise, to hold like different off angles to use in their favor. So on the T side, you're gonna be coming in knowing exactly where to look and be prepared. East is gonna actually take down 2 here. However, they're not going for the retake still, and Aristocracy will still take a 6-1 scoreline. But yeah, there's not a lot of for improvisation to hold these off angles that you can use to catch people off guard. On the T sides run around the corner, they know exactly where you're gonna be, and you're gonna hit those shots most of the time.
Yeah, and I think that's why this pick from Aristocracy is so good, is because they're playing against a new team on a new map. Like, the chance of them having the synergy and not just like having hesitations when it comes to certain angles and flashbangs and smokes and communication, like those are all the things you need if you're trying to like almost pug style a map. And they don't have any of those yet. Like, they're starting to build them. But even in some of the games I saw at the We Play event when they were playing in Kiev, when they played against Vegas Squadron, it was close. They then played a pretty close game as well versus Avangard. Then Avangard went home, did their research, and destroyed them. Like, absolutely destroyed them.
Oh, hello.
Speaking of research, wallbang spot. It definitely seems like Deha knows this map. Like, just from the way he's been playing so far, Like, he is definitely prepared for a lot of these situations. Orb going to be handed over to him. Is again going to be played towards this A side. He's over the top and actually bounces off the scaffolding, so won't do any damage.
Again, though, you're seeing how passive HellRaisers are being. Just look on the minimap. They have rotated a player in from middle to help defend towards this A side hit time. Still a lot on the board. I actually thought we were a lot lower than we currently were at. 50 seconds left to go, so there's no rush here for Aristocracy to push him. The Molotov will come in, and that angle swinging really wide. He had a Molotov behind him, he had people in front of him, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And eventually he will be finished off here. The plant gonna go down, and again, they're prepared for the boost. The smokes are down in a perfect position, meaning you only have to watch the high angles. And HellRaisers just still do not have an answer for stopping this plant from going down.
UK at least in a decent position to maybe spot out Maniz. The thing is, though, he's managed to get aggressive. And this was something I mentioned when it came to retakes. This can't happen. You can't allow them to get this spot, otherwise the round is done. Like, if they sit back towards the ramp, then you have a decent chance. But the fact is, he can peek out. Taz just gone aggressive! And even Maniz chimes in with another. It's going to be left onto Lowell, and well, he can only get exit frags. That's been the story of the game for HellRaisers so far. The bomb has yet to go down on the B side of the map.
At what point? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think pistol round they did. Yeah, but okay. I totally agree with you. It's. At what point do you sit here and say, all right, let's 4-man stack A, or let's 5-man stack A, and just throw all our eggs in one basket? Because what they've been doing so far has just not been working out for them.
Yeah, it is tough. I think the CT side in general is tough to play, but they look like they're really struggling.
Have we seen HellRaisers go for a proper retake? With smokes, with Molotovs, with flashes? Like, have they actually gone for, like, the Mirage CT side retake of the A site yet?
No. I think there's been a few moments where, okay, it's been the majority of the players attempting it, but most of the time it's been different players looking for picks. Angel, like, in the last round, I think that was the closest they came to actually going for a retake, but he was already so aggressive when they were sort of taking ramp.
Yeah.
And I think the most interesting thing, for me at least, is just the difference in terms of plant spots from Aristocracy. They definitely, each round, are either putting it right in the corner, or it's another plant where they know exactly where they can spam onto the bomb. Mm-hmm. And that just shows that the level of practice that they've been putting into this map so far.
Oh, Maniz gonna get the better of Oscar here. Finally, a op picked up for the T side. I mean, just look at this. He's at 3 and 5. Diha's at 10 and 4.
132 ADR as well.
And the thing is, like, I know Taz did an interview with, oh my gosh, don't tell me. Yeah, Taz did an interview with HLTV talking about Diha and saying he sees him as like a diamond in the rough. You know, just takes some time to shine him up. He's a very good player. He's a lot of confidence in the 16-year-old. Just needs some experience. And Angel, oh, please don't tell me he's not going to see the guy above him because of the position of his crosshair.
No, I don't think he will. Oh, he spots out Maniz at least. Bit of a boost spot thrown in this time. And actually, UK's just gone ham over on towards that ramp. Now, they're definitely wary for any sort of flank here. You can see Diha's going to be watching. There isn't anybody actually coming around, at least in the near future. So the bomb is going to be planted. This time just going for the safe plant, knowing that Issa could be anywhere around the corner. Diha going to be watching, trying to dunk some nades over the top. And it could just come down to timing here, as Diha will now know that there's a man around the corner. Winning this duel is going to be impossible, though, and we do have a second round at least on the board for HellRaisers. And it was mainly off just the switch up in setup. The boost over the top worked out wonderfully, and then the aggression coming out from UK also worked as well.
So wonder at what point do they go for a triple stack behind the wood, see over it, maybe look for the early frag, maybe just get a man advantage, then play retake. But again, to invest 3 players over towards the A site before they actually commit the push there is going to be very risky to do. And considering Aristocracy had been pushing the A site almost every round except one, which was like back in the pistol round, they have to wonder, will they continue to do it? Or are they going to switch things up and head towards the B site?
The thing I will say is I feel like the B site is set up far more kindly for the CT side. Although there's multiple ways that they could rotate into that angle, I just think the amount of places that you can just sit there and just hold an angle and just wait for them to run up the stairs, I just don't see anybody really doing that unless they've got pistols and they want to go for a quick rush.
Right. It actually, it's funny enough, B site of Vertigo reminds me a lot of B site Mill. Or Tuscan, I think it's called these days.
Oh, okay.
kind of that one entrance. I mean, there's a second entrance if you go up like the ladder, but that one like ramp you have to go up when it's really easy to funnel down. I mean, yeah, you have the door as well, but not many people use that one, especially if the door got stuck. But we're starting to see some life in HellRaisers. Able to get some initial frags here. Rollin looking for a couple of shots off onto Issa, connects onto him. And he got Oscar relatively low in HP as well. But they're still going to be down that man. And the utility, 2 smokes, 2 Molotovs, and a flashbang for the T side.
Yeah, the first real attempt, we see them probing in towards that B site and middle. And this is where we're seeing the slightly more standardized setup, at least from HellRaisers. The one man over on towards A, very passive. I think they may have switched it up after the early round scenario. But instead, when the push came in onto B, it just didn't work at all.
I want to say that if you're Aristocracy here, if you do want to hit B, you kind of need that player in middle to rotate in through the window over the crates. Well, I don't know what the official name is for it, but to kind of rotate in from there to kind of pull off a pincer move. You see right there towards Taz's right-hand side, but somehow they've been able to open up onto it.
Maybe able to go down, but that's about it. Taz has to try and clutch this out, and there are 2 CT players ready and waiting, so a third round already coming up on the board. Now, as it's been mentioned, this map has been fairly T-sided so far, so if HellRaisers can start to grind this back, they may be able to make things a little bit interesting, and it seems like their switch up in setup over on towards that A site actually sort of forced Aristocracy to go for a bit of a B play. And obviously there's the understanding that you can't just go one way every single round, but I think if they just maybe faked it out a little bit better, like through some of the grenades that they've thrown, or maybe Molotov off the sandbags or something like that early in the round, they might have been able to sort of fake out their opponents a little bit more.
Yeah, I want to say that if Aristocracy just expect more of an aggressive hold on towards A, then they can continue to hit that route if they want to, because that's the round that netted HellRaisers the big victory they needed to have some sort of hope here. Now Aristocracy are taking a pause themselves to talk some things over. It seems like the A site is just very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
In terms of like, it's just that you only have really one way in, unless you pull off like the world's biggest flank over towards B. You play for the retake, and the CT side for HellRaisers, I mean, for Angel, it's going to be very tough for him to come up mid-game with a strategy that works. It seems like they've been able to pull out something out of the hat with the aggressive holds. But how many rounds will that really work once Aristocracy starts to expect it?
Well, yeah, and this time you can already see the T side. Maybe just throwing that initial play over towards B in the last round just as an almost fake out to try and get some players gambled back, but it is just going to be this pressure once again. Nobody on sandbags. I'm glad to see that change, and Angel is going to be flashed into the angle, but won't spot anything out. Smoke going to go down.
I don't like this spot, though. Again, it feels like a one-and-done spot.
I think it's actually more just because he can actually see over the edge of this smoke. So Maniz can't actually peek at this point. They've got Issa on the same boost. The only problem is they've already done that once. And actually, Angel's going to go down through the corner as it begins to fade. Now Issa going to be left up top on his own, but he gets a double spray down this time. So maybe just the clutch plays from different members of HellRaisers will actually give them a way into this game. Rotation already coming around. Nuclear up close will be finished off very quickly indeed. And Issa so low on HP, it's going to be very difficult for them to hold on to this site now. Molotov going through, but won't really do too much. Oscar has managed to rotate in, and Lol is on a long flank around.
Thing is, Maniz has the bomb. He's sitting over towards ramp. Lol, if he can... I was going to say, if he can hit the shot, if actually just continues to walk up like this pace, they're not going to expect him to be here behind. He actually has a fantastic opportunity to pull off a flank here if Oscar can push in. The problem is Oscar has an AWP, so Lolo has to pretty much do this entirely by himself. Now his position given away, Smoke going on top of the bomb to help cover off that left-hand side to allow him to push it up a little bit further, but he's by himself. Oscar, though, able to open up, takes down Mouse, and looking for a second. He's not going to expect Mies to be there, but doesn't hit the quick shot either, or the second one. And now it's just all on Lowell, and I would imagine it's going to be going the way of Aristocracy. Is finally they're able to take the round, but that could have been such a different story. If Lowell like got a frag earlier on without being spotted, I think that could have been HellRaisers' take, especially if Oscar was able to get the same frag he got in that.
Joe, I'm a bit disappointed by in that round is just the fact that Aristocracy could have actually planted on the left side of the boxes because they already have full control.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you just abandon ramp, like that was the only way I really saw them losing the round was the fact that at that point, LoL had all the control around the bomb. It was only them like on the side of it. So I think if they just plant around the other side, that could actually be a pretty interesting way to hold. Just give up ramp and just go, okay, we're just going to hold on this left little sort of shaft side.
They just had to put up a plant for it to actually work out.
Yeah. Which has been something they've been very good at doing so far. Now, ultimately, made no difference. Their positioning was fine. I'd just quite like to see the sort of variation in that plant spot and just see... Because also, like, LoL, if they plant on the other side of the box, like, he goes to try and find the bomb. He's not going to be able to find it.
Well, again, Angel pretty much could be... Okay, so this I don't know if I agree on. Because you have Angel there holding behind the smoke. You do have support of Nuki, but it's just going to be a flashbang, and it's still going to be a tough peak for Angel because of the amount of people who could be sitting back towards the rafter side of ramp, and actually blinds up Angel himself. So a little bit unfortunate for that flashbang to come through. Oscar has rotated in to help out, but again, playing aggressive with the AWP. He's got to hit the shot, now back away, and that does give him a nice little man advantage, and it has slowed the pace of Aristocracy, especially with the Molotovs being thrown down. But again, these flashbangs coming through, you can see Oscar is actually burned alive because of it. Now Angel by himself not able to do too much.
Still managing to keep the man advantage alive, though, and this time the CT side are just opting to try and play this together. I'm definitely a bigger fan of this sort of style rather than trying to sneak your way through the ramp, especially when the bomb hasn't been planted yet. So without the utility, this is going to be very difficult, and UK will drop the bomb. It's left all onto Miniz. Now he knows there's a man there. The peak doesn't come in, but the fact is the clock is the biggest weakness of Aristocracy at the moment. They've only got 10 seconds remaining to try and get anything done. Miniz will peek the angle, and UK, again, a big couple of rounds coming out from him as he manages to get the double, and another round enters the board for HellRaisers.
So again, it seems the aggressive play of HellRaisers has been able to help net them.
Did you hear what he said? We'll play in the exact same positions.
Yep.
So clearly they are feeling that the aggression is the best way to go about things. Just like take the fights. Because in all honesty, that is where I would give HellRaisers the edge. Like individually, they are definitely sound as a team. Like they have got the pieces of what could be like top 15, top 10 roster. Like if they manage to get everything working like they did with the previous one with Issa and Woxic playing very well. The thing is though, at this point in time, it's very early on in the roster's life, so I think that they need to play off those more individual styles, and that's what's been working. Like NuK's managed to find some decent frags by going aggressive. Issa in the same sort of state, and even Angel himself getting a double in the last round.
I feel like such a risky proposition though to look for a 50-50 duel. But I think that's maybe the state of the A site is the 50-50 duel you get is better than any other duel you can get.
Well, I think the other thing as well is I can't say for sure how well HellRaisers are prepped for this map, but I think even just like when you watch them do pop flashes and sometimes blind teammates, maybe it was just a mistake, but you could just say that that might just be not knowing that that flash will go that far.
Yeah.
Like it's possible it was just a mess up, but even like peaks like that, it's a high risk, very high risk.
Especially if you play close to the drape there, the yellow drape, like you're not going to get flashed. So it's a little bit of a hard spot to go for the peak for and to be so aggressive. Again, the smoke comes through. Oscar's going to hit the shot this time. The smoke's a little bit too high, actually, so he does have a proper angle. Mouse might walk straight into this as well, but I think the call has been made to hold off. They can't go for the re-smoke. Rollins going to be the only one who has one. That's going to be the bomb now down, and Rollins not in a position because he's flanking around behind them.
Again, he's been caught out as well. This round has actually quickly fallen apart for the T side. There's going to be some space gathered by Taz, but there will be another pick going the other way, and Oscar will be there to close it. So a small mistake is actually enough to gift HellRaisers around, because that gave the space to Oscar. And even if he's not in the best form of his life, he's not going to miss shots where his opponent can't see him.
Yeah, that's very true. I wonder now, though, we're going to see the aggressive play. It's funny, because we're always talking about this as being such an aggressive map, but we've not seen really any rushes. Out of the time we saw Avogar versus Furia, and the match we've seen so far today, we haven't really had that rush come through towards the A site to surprise him and catch him off guard, and it looks like we're not going to have it this round either.
Well, Essa going to be boosted up, give them a spot into mid.
Yeah.
Marlon looking to try and sneak his way up the stairs. This is pretty much the rush spot. This is where you have the chance to take individual duels versus different players. However, the CTs have such a massive benefit as you just poke your head into their crosshair. Angel actually switching things up, so it seems like they've read the situation here and swapped the way they're going to be playing. Just look at the A site at the moment. There's only one man there. It's Nuclear alone. The nade onto Rallen. 83 damage. Can't really get much better than that. It definitely seems like the CTs know that this is the likely push. And with 6 rounds already coming up on the board, they're going to be feeling fairly confident going into the next side. Like, we mentioned that already.
So the door's open and they're on top of the door to see over into the middle. Okay. I didn't know what they were boosted on the first time there. So yeah, like you said, the change-up coming through. So Nuke is playing at the boost spot with the ABP again, I'm assuming. And the other players are going to be towards mid to B. And I think Aristocracy, like, I think, was it Taz, the interview with HLTV, mentioned, like, confidence is something they're really lacking within the team, in the newer players. Like, they're lacking that confidence to be able to play the style they know and to play well. And the second they started to lose, like, a round or two is when that confidence seemed to have failed them and seemed to have faded. And they're second guessing, like, the pushes they want to make, the shots.
I also think that although they have some, like, interesting nades and spam spots, I think their game is fairly one-dimensional, and it was quite easy to work out for HellRaisers. Like, even if, like, we don't know how many hours they put in themselves, but, for example, they've only really been able to make a take of A. Like, the B site has been one bomb plant, I believe, in the pistol round, and then the one where Taz was in a 1v3 and was never going to win. Oh.
They also haven't really tried to play much towards B.
Yeah, exactly.
3-4 rounds total, maybe?
And most of them were with pistols.
And they haven't used middle that much, surprisingly enough, which is such a integral spot, I think, when it comes to Vertigo, with how open it leads a lot of these positions. And it gives you another avenue into that B site, which is oh so needed by a lot of the T sides. It looks like they will finally get the middle control that I was wondering, but Issa's going to drop the bomb.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to do too much to defend it, other than hope to spam somebody through the smoke. Mao's, in the meantime, going to make his way on towards the site. Now knows where Lol is. And he's managed to sort of thread the needle to get himself into a little bit of a sneaky spot. That should be one easy kill. The second is there as well. And he'll get both entries onto the site, just sneaking his way through. Rallen now looking to hold on to Issa. Should win the duel, but doesn't. Now gives a chance for HellRaisers.
So it'll be tough, though, with Taz pushed up like this, too. And that's going to go for the jump. I mean, walking directly into a trap. Angel going to lead the charge here with the backup out of Isa. Taz waiting. Splash comes through and actually catch him off guard. He's going to fall down to the pits of the streets, I guess we should call it. Mouse now up against Angel for the clutch. And he's not able to hit enough shots. And HellRaisers coming back strong, considering what they were down in the beginning of this half. Have been able to pull it back to an 8-7 scoreline here.
Yeah, I like the way they've sort of adapted over the last few rounds. And, like, although a lot of it has come down to sort of individual plays, I feel like there's not really a perfect way to play that A site at the moment. Like, I can sort of say maybe you want to go for those, like, riskier passive plays and just retake, but what they did seem to work out in the end. Either way, we're going to see what Taz and his team can do in a similar scenario after the break.
Welcome back, everyone, as we dive back into the ESL Pro League and dive back into Vertigo here for the first time in its first week of availability here in the Pro League into the second stage. I'm Jason Kaplan, still joined by Tom. Luckily, I haven't scared him away just yet, but we'll see as the days go on in this week. And so far, HellRaisers have been able to claw their way back into a 7-8 scoreline at the end of the first half here from the CT side. Swapping back over to the T side now. We'll see if they have been able to do what we expected. If they allow this map to get through, we're expecting they know what to do on the T side.
Aggression already coming out from Mouse and not working too well. Definitely looking to try and dominate those stairs early on. You can see the way that the CTs at least have set up is in that passive style, like looking more for a retake. In the pistol round though, that doesn't really reflect too much. Like a lot of the time you're going to have to give up one of the sites in the pistol round, otherwise you will just get bombarded by T players running towards you. However, the double back will now come in from the T's. Aggressive push from Ralin is also going to meet the same fate as his teammates just moments ago. Minis are just waiting. They are going to push, but they're all going to push together, and HellRaisers, they've got themselves pretty much a guaranteed pistol round. Diha does have himself a smoke and a kit, and even a kill to his name, but Oscar now, that last man flank, looking to wrap around towards the end of the round, and
he did it again. I think I would have matched your high-pitched scream from earlier on. It's getting damage done, but again, the bomb's going to go off nonetheless. Come on. Come on, Diha. One more. One more.
Aww. I love we just both waited. Not quite enough, but
you hate to see it. You know,
he's still going to have a lot of extra money, so if they do decide that they want to go for a force buy in this round, he could have like a scout and Kevlar or something a little bit extra.
I don't know about a scout. I still feel like
he is the only man playing A.
Yeah, okay, that's true. I was wondering if they're going to... Well, I mean, maybe there's just a pistol round they're having him on towards A.
Yeah, it's possible, but I feel like he is going to get the scout. He's got 2 flashbangs, and it's actually going to be Maniz playing as the lone defender of the A site. A little bit of a rotational position from Diha, so he can sort of spot into middle and still have that little boost spot that we've seen pretty much everybody do. Oh, he's found the door. But the T's very, very patient. I think they know how integral a round this is going to be for them. Getting off to a strong start on the T side, disallowing the CT side to have that high economy early in the game, because that's something I want to know. Like, do Aristocracy have like some set nades to slow down a lot of the pushes? Have they been practicing those different like jump spots on the A site? I wonder if it would even be worth having some set like HEs that you could just dunk onto the players before they rotate around into the spot. But at least for now, T side looking to make their way in towards the B site. A little bit of a boost in play. Angel down to just 1 HP. Has to be a bit careful and will actually be dunked out. However, it's still going the way of the T's, at least for now.
Especially with the double nade coming through out of Oscar. I'd say that's definitely going the way of the T side here. Rollins got the deagle. He's got the first shot into Lowell, but not enough to pick up the frag. And Diha, which is the scout, I mean, I feel like you just got to save it or try to. I mean, there's no real chance you'll be able to come back into this one. We did see a nade actually thrown in there. I wonder if that was through the door or over the door out of Oscar when he got the double. Because you were talking about those set nades and be able to catch up players, especially if they're in towards middle. But HellRaisers is looking like, I want to say, a completely different team. Oh my gosh, they shut the door too. Oh, that's unfortunate. Good throw, though.
Yeah, no, he slipped it in just before they closed it. Well, just a few pistols picked up in this round and a chance for some cash to be made. We will lose Angel at least to the Deeg, but other than that, it's looking pretty good for the T side. It's definitely coming alive in this game, and just a couple of pop-in headshots. 15 and 10 for him. Definitely a man that when HellRaisers succeed, he's normally at the forefront. Like, I will never forget every time that him and Woxic were on a team together, always pumping each other up and getting very excited. I think that's an important player to have. I think that's one of the reasons that NeilM can actually work as a coach sometimes, is that he does work with certain players, just getting them excited, shouting, getting them pumped up. And we saw actually with Greyhound with their performance recently in Sydney, where it definitely seemed like he gave them like an extra boost.
Well, Diha's going to be back on the scout as they invest into this one. A couple of Augs in here. Again, the utility can be a little bit low. Sorry, Diha has the AWP. And, well, no, he's got nothing. But this is, I mean, the thing is, I feel like he should know about that spot, considering Aristocracy on T side have been holding B ramp as well, or B staircase, especially from that position too. So they've lost a big part of their kit here.
Rallen looking to fight into mid, but a position fairly difficult to hold, especially when you don't have any utility. Both players hitting the dink. The fact is, though, that AK-47 still gives you a slight advantage over the AUG. Taz gonna now have to rotate in. This leaves them slightly abandoning the A site. Actually, Oscar now gonna remove one more. It seems to be just HellRaisers' way of going about things at the moment. Just the pick play, winning these opening duels, sectioning off players. Taz will at least be able to get one. Issa's low, but he hits the shot with the AWP anyway. And unfortunately for Maniz, he is on the wrong side of the map.
So Aristocracy left the bomb, sorry, HellRaisers left the bomb down in T-spawn up until like the 45, 50-second mark, because they were only looking for those frags. Yep. And you mentioned earlier on before we started the series that you feel like in general HellRaisers, pound for pound, have the better dueling when it comes to these 1v1s. And I think they're trying to use that to their advantage. I mean, they're constantly looking for these fights, and without utility, without flashing people in, they're able to pick up these kills time and time again. And now Aristocracy, they're the ones that have to figure out what they can do, because we've seen more action at B in this half, in the few rounds we've had in this half, than we've seen in the entire first half here.
Well, I definitely think is one of the reasons that at the recent We Play event we saw them struggle a little bit, is that trying to go pound for pound in aim battles versus CIS teams is not the way you play against CIS teams. It's like that is what they are best at. Take, for example, Avangard. Every single one of their players is individually strong. Like, there is anybody who can take over a round. If you look at the statistics throughout most events, there'll be different players in every single map who steps up to the plate. I think James definitely gets the majority of the limelight because he is the star AWPer of the team. But there are plenty of fantastic players on that roster. And even when HellRaisers play versus Vega Squadron, they struggle because, again, individually, they're very good players. It's just strategically, we can see like some sort of flaws within the roster. Either way, in this scenario, Aristocracy taking another pause because it is just, at the moment, they're being beaten man for man.
Hopefully for Taz and his team, they can figure out what they can do here to not allow those. And the worst part is that it's, when it's just pound for pound, one, you know, a trading or dueling they're looking for. So I should say dueling they're looking for. It's not like Aristocracy's been able to trade these kills either. It's just been a flat-out exchange in favor of HellRaisers. So not able to get the refrags, and they're just getting caught from a couple different angles. You think back to Diha in the last round. He gets caught jumping through the little connector window with an AWP. And now we're seeing the boost up. This is the one you can see in towards the position there. You got to move to the box, I think, to their left and see down into the ramp. But
I think
Angel's not going to expect it, maybe?
Yeah, I think that the big problem is if they if more players wrap around to the left, they're absolutely screwed. I think he goes a little bit early there, if I'm honest. I feel like Angel's going to go further than that. And they kind of, I feel like that boost was a bit wasted.
Yeah, 100%. And again, Issa wins out in the 1v1 against Taz. No refrag coming through. Maniz, though, in the meantime, over towards B is able to get a kill into Issa, so eventually able to trade that. Again, the smokes have come down. They've got the smoke set up for a plant here. You can see Maniz trying to push up and try to prevent this from happening. The thing is, the bomb's still down at the moment. It's not even in the hands of HellRaisers. They bait a lot of the utility up. Maniz is going to be the only one with a flash and a smoke in his hands. And he pushes up by himself. You can see all of Aristocracy have rotated towards this A site, and the bomb's nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, it's actually quite interesting that they haven't gone back to at least try and retrieve it yet. But I suppose if they're just picking apart this team, they don't really need to worry too much. Rallen is nowhere near where this push is about to come in, and I think he's just going to be left in a situation where he just has to save the AUG.
I think the upside here for HellRaisers when it comes to these aim battles is that when you have the confidence to win them, you're allowed to pull off more of these like puggy kind of style plays. I mean, they've been spread out across the map for the majority of their T side now. They're not really heavily investing into a big push like we saw Aristocracy towards the A site, having everyone there. They're relying on these aim battles. Yeah, it's Squeaky bum time here.
Oh, he's actually managed to find 2 of the players. He doesn't have a kit, so needs to get this final kill very fast. And lol, calm collected will take his head off. A little bit close for comfort for HellRaisers in that round, especially considering it wasn't a full investment from the CT side. So they are going to be coming in with what I would say is the first proper full buy. Like the last one we had Diha without any Kevlar. Not that it mattered, he got headshotted while trying to jump through a window, but now we can actually see like the proper purchase. And in fact, he's not going to have either of the AWPs. Mal's will have one, Maniz will have the second. Everybody else just going for their rifles and utility.
I mean, hey, I would choose an AWP for a one-on-one aim battle any day of the week. Just gotta hit that one shot. Taz, in the meantime, actually, it's really aggressive towards B. So again, this Puggy kind of style, you can see 2 players were sent towards this B direction and have been at least thwarted for now as Issa's gonna rotate back. So it looks like Aristocracy's answer is similar to what HellRaisers' answer was towards the A side. Get aggressive somewhere and try to use that to get a man advantage.
Yeah, they seem to be doing it more based off the back of like boosts, which is their way of basically getting aggressive, but maybe in positions that HellRaisers won't necessarily check. The only problem is this. The way you have to now get aggressive is just stand up, and that was another spot that was actually being utilized by HellRaisers anyway, so there's one that Oscar's going to be checking for. Turn it back into a 4v4 scenario. Utility being expended to force back the T side. Now, they still have some utility left if they want to re-smoke these angles, and that's the one thing about this A site is you don't actually need many smokes to hold them off, especially if Oscar starts hitting his shots like that. Spots the boost up. And these are the flanks we talk about. Issa going around the rotation, making sure that he can spot if there's anybody around the back lines. Also clearing out quite a lot of space over towards B, and because of that, it's only going to be Taz. And the thing is, he's way too late.
It seems like Aristocracy are more set on contesting the bomb going down than playing for the full retake. Because they're pretty much rotating everyone off B before the bomb is even in the vicinity of the A site. If anything, it's still left towards spawn. So it seems like Aristocracy are kind of jumping the gun a little bit here and trying to defend the A site from not allowing the bomb to get down, instead of just playing for the full-on retake and keeping people in positions. Because if you have someone left on the B side for Aristocracy and you win the 1v1, you basically shut down any sort of aggression coming that way, at least for now, and you stop any potential chance for a flank to come through.
Mao's just hoping to hold on to this AWP, not really much else he can do. And the team going into the next round, they'll have the loss bonus built up, but other than that, it's not really going to be the best case scenario for them to actually go for a purchase. Mao's just about gets away with that one.
We have to remember, Tom, though, that was a double up setup. That's costly in the economy here for them. And the double up netted them nothing.
Oscar playing well, though, is one of the best cases that we can get for HellRaisers going into this week, because it's been mentioned that he's definitely not been in the prime of his life. He seemed like he was playing decent in We Play in Ukraine, but that was against either sort of lesser opponents or they were losing to Avangard. Nice entry kill from Lau as well. Looking for a little bit more. He's only up against the pistols this time. AWP went down within the first few seconds. They will at least manage to get one kill back, but is there going to be any sort of retrieval mission?
You know, you mentioned nade stacking earlier. I almost want to see a CT side to counter the pushing towards A if they're not able to hold it before.
Yeah,
aggressively is just nade when they're planting.
Or even, like, if you know, because, for example, we saw a boost already that showed if they were on ramp, or you can sometimes hear when they're moving. Just, like, alley-oop it over the top.
You don't know much about sports, do you? Because that is not even close to what an alley-oop is. But you know what? I get it. I know what you mean. Nice little lob in there. Kind of drop shot it down towards them.
Swish it onto them.
Sports.
Sports.
Well, here we go, though. Diha all by himself. He's going to be flanked from behind. And HellRaisers have been on a massive tear, actually. The last 7 rounds straight they've been able to win. Aristocracy haven't yet to able to get a round on the CT side. And HellRaisers looking confident, looking good. I mean, the next map is going to be Overpass. We'll see how that's going to work out for both these two teams. Look at the percents really quickly over the last 3 months. HellRaisers have played it 3 times and won 100%. And Aristocracy 6 times and are 50% win rate on it. Not sure, though, for HellRaisers side, at least, off of my notes quickly, if it's the roster that played those 3 maps or not.
Oh. Oscar just sat there thinking this is fine. It is going to be, again, a purchase up for the CT side. AWP onto Maniz, everybody else just sticking with their rifles. Oscar looking to try and spot anybody rotating around through the floor. Quick flick from Maniz. That will at least be a decent way to start things off. They haven't really been too successful in getting the man advantage.
That's such a risky play, though, because if you fall there, no one's really there to support you in time. I mean, maybe Rollin can get there before they're flooding into the site. But at the same time, HellRaisers have yet to do that. When they get an initial kill somewhere, even if they get the entry, it's not like they rush into a site. They still keep that composure. They still take their time to make a play happen. Now Taz by himself towards B. They rotate to come in from Rollin. It's actually perfectly timed to push in onto Lowell.
Oscar's at least been able to keep things interesting, finding trades for every frag that's gone the other way.
Is he going back A with the bomb?
And UK might be able to try and just sneak this one home. Oscar's so deep inside that basically the CT side have to fully rotate in this direction. Maniz coming in on the flank should be able to put him to bed quite quickly. The fact is, though, now the rotation comes in and UK is in with a chance to try and fight this back. Going to go for the same open plant we saw previously, so maybe another standard that teams are trying to play. But he's actually going to push a little bit more aggressive, and it actually leaves it open to a fair few spots. He can definitely wrap back around if possible. It's not going to mean that if he pushes up here, he won't be able to see it through the boxes either, which was the big problem I mentioned previously with going a little bit more aggressive. The thing is, though, is he going to check for Taz? No, I think he already expected him to have crossed. And that will mean that at least Aristocracy do get themselves a 9th on the board.
So off the back of the flank out of Maniz, they're able to actually take that round. Almost being gifted around there, it feels like. But considering that's the first round of the CT side, I think they'll be happy again. Maniz, if he didn't hit that shot, that could have spelled trouble here for Aristocracy. We'll see if they can chain these rounds back to back here, because they're going to need to. If anything, they lose one more, looking at a minimum of an overtime. And that'll still be a far-fetched kind of run for them, a streak of rounds to potentially pull off.
Yeah, and once you get to that point as well, the loss bonus is built up for HellRaisers to just continually go for these rounds. Once again, a couple of players over on to try and fight back this A site. Marlon. A little bit too late, unfortunately, with his lineup.
Almost wish this was a little bit Rainbow Six-esque, where you can make a hole through that to see. That'd be pretty funny.
Is going to be there once again to find the opener. It's a quick trade back from Diha. As UK looks to try and make his way further up the ramp. The bomb's actually been dropped down. A bit of a problem, and Maniz now starts to style around those boxes. Going for a little bit more as he gets the 3rd. Looking for his 4th, but eventually traded out. And Ryland's going to burn down from Oscar's Molotov. Somehow this has quickly swung into a 2 versus 2. Taz looks to make the rotation back, and you can see now that Mao's actually a bit more patient with his, just in case they doubled back. It's been something that HellRaisers have done so frequently.
I think the only reason Maniz was able to get those kills right there is because no one flashed on HellRaisers' side to actually push in. He was allowed to sit on top of those boxes so aggressivly and never got punished. Now the flashbang's going to come in to force East out to miss a shot. Lowell, will they expect him to be here? Well, they'll give his position away. Now they know the last player is going to be remaining. And they actually push directly into him. Taz gets the kill. And they should have the defuse here as well.
They don't have a kits, which are actually going to be pretty damn close. I'm not sure they've got this. Oh, that's so unlucky. You can see his teammate was gone with the wind. Mao's just deciding to save that AWP, but that has got to be so tilting. And yeah, well, you can see that on the other side of things, they're loving that, because Issa's literal 2nd of survival was enough to win the round.
Unfortunate here for Aristocracy too. They needed these rounds. Luckily for them, even if they lose this next one, or lose this map, they still have more chances to come. Not only just today in this matchup, but of course over the next 2 days. Now it's going to get aggressive again. It seems like that's the answer that these teams have come up with, is just play aggressive somewhere to look for an exchange, to look hopefully for an advantage. Taz Smoke already down. Rollins somehow catches a nade onto Oscar. But that was shortly lived as Rollins gets his head taken off his shoulders again.
I'm interested by the position of Mouse, though. Already getting down onto the stairs, waiting for the rotation. Perfectly placed, manages one. He needs to do more than that, and actually spamming through the wall. It will turn it back into the 2 versus 2. D here in the meantime has got himself onto the site, and that's another time that someone's walked around that position with a nade in their hand, not expecting anybody to be there, and Aristocracy will bounce right back and get their 10th.
So not only do they have a player pushed up towards B, towards the stairs who drop down, they also had a player pushed up towards A at Rip. They're playing so aggressively, but not for potential for a trade, not for the potential to hold on. If one of those 2 players did die, hey, there's a free site. Really interesting to see that they're going for that kind of strategy here, at least in that last round alone. We'll see if they continue to do that, though, as they make our way through into round 26. Again, Rollin going to be holding towards middle, behind the sandbags. He's going to have Issa to contend with here, and I would imagine this is a fight that Rollin should win, at least escape with his life. Of course, commentator's curse happens.
Well, that's the thing, though. Issa has been winning an awful lot of just individual battles, like in towards middle. Like, granted, a lot of the time he's been traded out, but for the T's, that's absolutely fine. Like, a trade on this map really isn't that bad a thing. Maniz is such an aggressive position. He tries to bait them into Taz, but he ends up going down. Does manage to at least get 2 frags onto low HP players, but can he escape? Because this man has been punished so many times now trying to fight on that ramp. Luckily for him, Mao's not gone for any sort of rotations. As you sort of mentioned, they've started to leave players there. They've made that adaptation, which is definitely needed for them. I mean, he's just going to be hiding in the corner and fairly low on HP. He does have D-Hut fairly quick to actually get into position here. I think that's because they've spotted nothing over onto the other side of the map, and now with the smoke going down, they are going to look to try and deny this plant. I believe that was just a spray through from Angel. Now the boost comes up. Plant to be denied, but it will just be a quick trade back. Now Oscar left into the 1 versus 1 with Mouse.
I'm not sure he knows where he's going to be coming from. Mouse, though, has an inkling, and Oscar, though, will still get the round nonetheless, taking the head off of Mouse and taking the first map under their belts. HellRaisers will go up 1-0 up against Aristocracy.